The warden thinks the prisoner is faking death. He tests it with a torch. Even when the prisoner's feet start burning, he doesn't move. The warden finally believes the prisoner is dead. He orders the guards to throw the body into the sea. A man in the next cell sees everything. He realizes this is his big chance. While the guards leave to get a rope, he quickly opens the sack. He drags the old man's body into his own cell. Then he climbs into the sack. Just as he finishes, 2 guards walk in, hearing them outside. He holds his breath in fear. He doesn't want to be caught. Luckily, the guards only glance at the sack. They pick it up and carry it away. To make sure it sinks, they tie a heavy ball to it. Inside the sack, the man stays still but thinks hard about escaping. Soon, the guards carry the sack to the cliff. After counting down, they throw it into the sea. As the sack sinks, the man knows his chance has come. He pulls out a hidden knife and cuts the sack open. Just as his upper body breaks free, his legs, tied to the weight, start sinking fast. He acts quickly, cutting the rope on his legs. The dark ocean floor feels like a monster. It could swallow him at any moment. His survival instinct kicks in. He swims upward desperately. As he breaks through the water's surface, an overwhelming sense of freedom and joy for surviving fills his heart. After enduring 15 years of darkness, he thinks dawn has finally come. But it's just another abyss waiting. His name is Edmund. He was once a promising young sailor. Edmund could have had a happy and successful life. But 15 years ago his ship was caught in a violent storm. A girl on board fell into the sea. Seeing this, Edmund jumps in without hesitation. He saves the girl, but the captain doesn't praise Edmund. Instead, he's angry at his disobedience. He thinks Edmund's actions are a sign of disrespect. As he scolds Edmund, he finds a letter written by Napoleon on the girl. He looks thoughtful. At dawn the next day, the roaring waves finally calm down. The ship reaches the shore. The rescued girl finds Edmund and thanks him for his bravery. She tells Edmund her name is Angeli. Edmund has no idea this girl will change his future forever. Meanwhile, the captain goes ashore. The captain immediately finds Pierre Morel. He plans to report Edmund's bad behavior. He says Edmund refuses to follow orders. But after hearing about last night's events, Morel thinks differently. He believes Edmund the sailor protected their ship's honor. The captain, on the other hand, only cared about money and cargo during the crisis. Now he even tries to frame Edmund. So Morel decides to remove him as captain. Seeing his plan backfire, the captain is filled with anger. He blames all his mistakes on Edmund. But Edmund's luck turns around. Morel admires his bravery and makes him the new captain. Hearing Morel's words, Edmund can't believe his ears. Happiness comes so suddenly. After becoming captain, Edmund rushes to share the news with his lover, Mercedes. They hug each other excitedly. Then Edmund walks happily through the forest to tell his father the good news. His father, Louis, is a servant. When he hears his son is now a captain, Louis feels very proud. In this time of social divisions, being a captain shows strength. It means their family will join a higher social class with success in love and work. Edmund feels confident about the future. But on his wedding day, soldiers suddenly burst in. They are under the king's orders to arrest Edmund. Everyone is shocked by what they see. Even Edmund himself doesn't know. He has no idea what he did wrong. Seeing Mercedes' worried face, Edmund promises her again and again. He says he will come back as soon as possible. Then the soldiers take Edmund. They bring him to the castle. As soon as he steps out of the carriage, he sees criminals being hanged. The sight frightens him. A bad feeling suddenly rises inside his heart. Soon the soldiers take him to meet the prosecutor. Looking at the confused Edmund, the prosecutor calmly asks him if he has upset anyone recently. When Edmund shakes his head, the prosecutor asks another question. Has anyone been jealous of you lately? Hearing this, Edmund immediately thinks of one person. The former captain who was just removed after failing to report Edmund. Before the captain became angry to keep getting revenge on Edmund, he secretly put a handwritten letter from Napoleon that he took from Angeli into Edmund's book. After Napoleon was removed from power, the new rulers wanted to destroy him. Anyone with Napoleon's letter became a target for the new government. Learning the truth, Edmund quickly explains, I am innocent. This letter was taken from Angeli. The sailors on the ship can prove it. And I don't even know the girl we rescued. I only know her name is Angeli. After hearing Edmund's explanation, Villefort stays silent for a long time. He puts the letter back in the book and tells Edmund, hold on a little longer that I'll investigate and free you soon. At the same time, Fernand Mondego, Mercedes' brother, also goes to Villefort. He offers to use his family's reputation to guarantee Edmund's release. But Villefort says, the captain and sailors all confirm the letter belongs to Edmund. Hearing this, Fernand hesitates. If you're willing to take the risk, I'll let him go. Fernand can't believe. His old friend supports Napoleon. But when faced with family honor, Fernand finally gives in. He makes a compromise. He also promises Villefort to give evidence against Edmund. Edmund has no idea how serious things are when Villefort doesn't return. He gets dressed to go home. Just as he steps outside, two soldiers suddenly appear. When Edmund tries to resist, an officer swings his club and knocks Edmund out. This young man who should have had a bright future is labeled a serious criminal. When news of Edmund's arrest spreads, Mercedes cries in sorrow. Fernand Mondego, Mercedes' cousin, knows Edmund is framed but can't help him. No one knows. The girl Edmund once saved is Villefort's younger sister, Angélie. Angélie learns her savior is jailed because of her and guiltily begs her brother to help to free him. But Villefort strongly refuses. Angélie says, he did nothing wrong. Why arrest him? Villefort says, to save your life. Angélie says, my life or your reputation. Villefort says, why don't you confess in his place? Angélie says, I will. If you refuse to save him, I'll do it. But you'd rather keep my existence a secret. Victoria's existence, your lover, and your unborn child. As they argue, Villefort, desperate to protect his career, loses his temper and strangles Angélie unconscious. When Edmund opens his eyes again, he's in a prison at sea. His hair is dirty and messy. He looks nothing like his young self. The only thing with him is a tiny ray of light above. He doesn't know how long he's been jailed. He only thinks of his father, Louis, and his fiancée Mercedes. He prays for someone to save him. But each morning hope fades as he faces a cold cell and rotten food. Staring at the stone walls, Edmund feels completely hopeless. Loneliness and despair grow inside him like wild weeds. One day, while Edmund is sleeping, he suddenly wakes up to the sound of stone tapping. He quickly presses his ear against the wall. In the dim light, Edmund sees the person tapping the stones, an old man with gray hair. He crawls through the tunnel the old man dug and reaches the other side. After being alone for so long, they feel like they've found a true friend. They hug each other tightly. The old man tells Edmund he used to be a priest. To escape this prison, he spent 6 whole years digging this tunnel. Then the priest tells Edmund that to escape, they must go through Edmund's cell. He also says that digging alone would take 12 more years, but if they work together, it will only take 6 years. Edmund hesitates. He can't stand the cold, dark days in prison anymore. He wants to find his fiancée Mercedes and see his father again. Once hope takes root, it gives people unexpected strength. Back in his cell, Edmund starts making plans. He stops feeling sorry for himself and begins exercising daily. Even the terrible prison food, now the prison food, helps him grow stronger. He often talks with the priest. From the priest, smart Edmund learns many things during the long prison days. They keep each other company. Day after day passes. Edmund no longer feels lonely. He treasures his time with the priest. It becomes his greatest comfort in prison life. One day during a chat, Edmund learns from the priest that the Crusaders left a huge treasure long ago. Many people want to find it. Though the Crusaders were caught, the king never found the treasure. During their revenge, the Crusaders died one by one. As the last Crusader, the priest brought the secret into prison. Now he decides to tell Edmund about the treasure. By now they see each other as light in the darkness while digging a tunnel. The tunnel suddenly collapses. The priest gets buried alive. When Edmund digs him out, the old man is barely alive. Knowing his time is short, the priest comforts Edmund and thanks him for their friendship. Then he tells Edmund where the treasure is hidden. The Crusaders hid it. The Crusaders hid the treasure at Monte Cristo. After saying everything, the priest passes away peacefully. Losing his friend makes Edmund feel lonely again. The world seems dark to him. He feels completely alone in the silence. When mealtime comes, the guard brings food as usual, but he notices the priest isn't moving. The guard quickly checks on him. He stabs the priest with a knife to be sure. After confirming his death, he calls his partner to take the body away. Edmund watches everything from the shadows. He soon realizes this is a perfect chance. When the guard leaves, Edmund quickly opens the sack. He drags the old man's body into his own cell. Then he hides inside the sack. This is his chance to escape. The guard, unaware of the switch, throws the sack into the sea. Edmund swims to shore and breathes the air of freedom. The first people he wants to see are his father, Louis, and his fiancée Mercedes. But as he happily approaches the house, a servant with a gun stops him. The servant looks at this messy-haired man and thinks he's a beggar. The servant asks, "You know Louis?" Edmund says yes. The servant replies, "Poor Louis is buried. It happened long ago." Edmund says, "No, that can't be true." The servant says, "After his son died, he stopped eating and passed away. He wanted to be with his son again. His father, Louis, couldn't bear the grief of losing his son and died long ago. His fiancée, Mercedes, and her family also left this place long ago. She married his former best friend, Fernand Mondego. Everyone thought Edmund was dead, but he is clearly alive. Is there a hidden plot behind all this?" Thinking of the two people he missed the most, now gone from his life, Edmund stands frozen in shock. He thought escaping prison would bring him freedom. But why is the world outside just as dark? Now he has nothing left. He wipes his tears with his sleeve and walks alone to the shore. Remembering the priest's last words, Edmund now places all his hope in the priest's promise. He decides to go to Monte Cristo to find the treasure the priest left behind. He boards a ship again, but without the energy of his youth. He gazes at the endless sea, filled with mixed emotions. The ship soon arrives at Monte Cristo. A giant crusader statue stands at the base. Edmund carefully climbs up and follows the priest's instructions. He opens a hidden switch and slips inside the statue. He moves cautiously into the hollow interior. He holds a torch and looks around the cave. The huge cave amazes him. In the dim torchlight, countless treasures appear before Edmund, shining brightly. All his years of suffering in prison now seem meaningless. The young man's path of revenge has just begun. Days later, an old priest in a black cloak arrives in town. He finds the sailor who helped frame him and offers a diamond as payment to learn the truth. The priest's eyes burn like fire, making the guilty sailor even more nervous. He refuses the diamond and confesses everything about how they framed Edmund. The captain was jealous of Edmund, so he betrayed him. Edmund's friend Fernand wanted Edmund's fiancée Mercedes, so he lied in court and called Edmund a criminal. After Edmund was jailed, Pierre Morel, who once helped Edmund, had to rehire the captain. But the angry captain took revenge on Morel. He sank half of Morel's ships on purpose and ruined Morel's business. Morel had to sell his company Guess, who bought it cheap, Baron Danglars, the captain. The sailor also tells the priest about Angélie, the girl Edmund once saved. The prosecutor also hands Angélie over to the captain. As the captain's power grows, the struggling sailors have no choice but to obey him. But their conscience keeps reminding them they are helping a cruel man hurt innocent people. After learning the truth, the old priest walks into the church alone. He stares at the statue of God. Slowly he removes his mask. This man is not a priest. It is Edmund disguised as a priest. The kind young man is gone. In his place stands Edmund, filled with hatred. He vows to make these men pay for what they did. After asking around, Edmund learns that Angélie, the girl he once saved, was sold to the red light district. When Edmund sees Angélie again, she lies weakly in bed. Her tired face shows how hard her life has been. She recognizes Edmund as the man who saved her years ago. Angélie begs Edmund to save her child after being sold. Angélie once escaped, but when she returned to her brother's house, she found her seemingly honest brother was actually cruel. One dark night her brother, the prosecutor, tried to bury his mistress's child alive to hide his scandal. After he left, Angélie saves the child from the box. She rescues the baby, but she doesn't expect her brother to find out. This time he not only sends his sister back to the red light district, but also takes the child to a church. Edmund promises Angélie and goes to the church. There he finds the child. She mentioned Andrea. After explaining why he's there, Andrea's eyes fill with hate. He tells Edmund he wants to kill them. But Edmund says death is too easy. For what they've done they deserve worse. What matters now is taking time to plan the perfect revenge. After gaining great wealth, Edmund changes his identity. Now he becomes a nobleman, the Count of Monte Cristo. Edmund learns. The prosecutor now holds a high position. His old friend Fernand has become a famous general. Though war cost Fernand an eye, his life remains untouched. Fernand even has a son with Edmund's ex-fiancée Mercedes. The captain who sent Edmund to prison is now rich in high society. Edmund's first revenge step is to connect with Fernand through his son, so he carefully plans a scheme. When Fernand's son is surrounded by thugs, Edmund steps in and kills the attackers. He purposely leaves his gun on the ground, just as Edmund expects. Fernand soon brings his son to Edmond's home to thank him. Now Edmond is incredibly rich. Every part of his house is decorated with gold and luxury. Seeing all this, even Fernand, who has seen much of the world, is amazed. Soon Edmond appears before them wearing a new mask. He gives them a tour of his home and shows off his collection of fancy guns. By now Fernand is completely fascinated. Little does he know this is all part of Edmond's trap. After successfully drawing Fernand in, Edmond's next step is to turn Andrea, who is full of revenge, into a noble gentleman to fight against his father, the prosecutor. Under Edmond's guidance, Andrea, who grew up poor, starts learning noble manners. Soon he connects with the prosecutor. After some meetings, Fernand invites Edmond to his home. The moment Mercedes sees Edmond, she recognizes him as her old love. She stares at him in shock, unable to believe her eyes. Facing Mercedes' gaze, Edmond stays completely calm. After going through many hardships, he is no longer the same person he used to be. Now his mind is focused only on revenge. After learning everything about his enemies, Edmond throws a grand party. He invites nobles from high society as guests. The party takes place at the very spot where the prosecutor buried the child years ago. At the party, Edmond looks mysterious. He tells everyone he has psychic powers. He claims to hear a boy's cries from upstairs. Following the boy's voice, he leads everyone to the center of the garden and starts digging. Soon after, a box appears before everyone. Excited, they open the box, but only dust comes out. Just as everyone thinks this is a joke, the prosecutor is dealing with his mistress, who is causing a huge scene. She asks, "Where is our child's body?" The prosecutor says, "I don't know." She says, "Did you put him there? You told me he was dead. You said it." The prosecutor says, "Of course he's dead." She asks, "Then where is he?" He replies, "I don't know." Meanwhile, Edmond copies the way the captain punished Morel before by making half his ships disappear. It's time to pay for your sins. The Justice Gazette reports Danglars' ships were stolen in Marseille. Danglars' stocks crash in the market, but someone tells Danglars his ships are safe. Danglars' fleet is still docked in Marseille. Edmond says, this will make Danglars think. The new owner of the Justice Gazette, Lord Halifax, is spreading fake news to ruin him. As Edmond planned, Danglars believes Lord Halifax is using his newspaper for shady deals. Baron Danglars thinks this is his chance to get rich. The stock price has hit rock bottom. If I buy now, I'll make a huge profit in 2 days. This will be my most successful deal ever. How much do I need to buy back your shares? 500 million. But it must be done today. Baron Danglars says they must act before the market closes, before that scoundrel Lord Halifax does. How can I gather 500 million by tonight? Now, short on cash. The Baron has no choice but to ask Edmond for a loan, putting up all his property as collateral to show his sincerity. I'll repay everything within a week. We'll make this Lord Halifax pay. The lawsuit is ready. I'll personally take charge of prosecuting him in court. Edmond says, I can't wait to witness this execution in court. With the money secured, the Baron and the prosecutor move to strike at their rival in court. But to their surprise, Andrea stands up and loudly accuses the prosecutor. Andrea says, I represent Lord Halifax. I stand before you because the justice is accused of spreading false news. But I declare here that Baron Danglars' ships are indeed gone. Baron Danglars shouts nonsense. My ships are in Marseille. This is a joke. Andrea says you only need to contact the Marseille Port Authority. The judge says, so you stand by your claim. Andrea replies, I do and I'll sign it, Your Honor, but I want to use my real name. You've been using a fake name. People know me as Andrea. After years on the streets, I was adopted by a noble Italian family. I start as a thief, but end up as a prince. This job isn't more honorable than before, but it's much more comfortable. Right here in Paris, I finally find my real father. I was born on November 3rd, 1815. The prosecutor says, Your Honor, can the defendant provide proof for his claims? Andrea says, I'm getting to it, sir. Your patience will be rewarded. I'm the secret son of a French nobleman and his mistress, my mother thinks I died at birth because my father told her I didn't survive. He wrapped me in cloth and buried me alive. The judge says, Sir, you're describing an attempted baby murder. Andrea says, It would have happened if my aunt hadn't dug me out of the ground. The judge asks, Who are you accusing? Andrea says, A respected man you all know. His family crest is on this cloth. My father is the man standing before me now. Prosecutor Villefort. Villefort shouts, This is slander. I'll sue you. The judge says, Sir, Do you realize how serious your accusation is? I need more than just a bloody cloth as proof. Andrea says, the prosecutor himself will confirm my story. Villefort yells, you're insane. Andrea says, don't make my mother testify. She's suffered enough. The courtroom erupts in chaos. The embarrassed prosecutor storms out. Baron Danglars chases after him, saying, Count, this story makes no sense. It's ridiculous. My ship was in Marseille just yesterday. I need more time to repay your loan. Edmond tells Danglars, you have nothing left. All your wealth now belongs to me. The only thing you own is the clothes on your back. Leave Paris, and maybe I'll spare your wife and your daughter, so they won't starve. At this moment, Andrea seizes the chance and stabs his father in the neck with a knife. Things clearly spiral out of control. Seeing Villefort on the ground and Andrea thrown in jail, Edmond starts doubting his beliefs for the first time. Is the justice he fights for really right? But he must keep going. Just then, his fiancée, Mercedes, finds him. From their first meeting, she recognized Edmond by his voice. It's really him. Edmond shows her the old letters and tells her the whole truth. Hearing about Edmond's suffering, Mercedes cries in pain. She blames herself for everything. If only she had waited for him back, then none of this would have happened. She decides to take her son and leave this painful place. Meanwhile, Edmond's old friend, Fernand Mondego, also learns his true identity. He confronts Edmond and demands a final duel. Edmond removes his mask. Having waited for this moment, old friends now fight with swords. The battle grows fiercer. Years of bottled-up hatred make Edmond explode with rage. He overwhelms Fernand, who finally collapses. Fernand realizes he has completely lost. He begs Edmond to kill him and end this revenge, but Edmond shakes his head and refuses. He believes death is not the only way to end revenge. Now Fernand has lost everything. He will spend the rest of his life full of regret. Edmond's revenge finally ends here. This film is based on Alexander Dumas, The Count of Monte Cristo, as the first great revenge story. It is also a deeply thoughtful film. God gives humans great strength, but also endless desires. This leads people into darkness. At the end of the film, Edmond chooses not to kill Fernand. This is also a chance for him to free himself from his own revenge. It also teaches us that happiness and suffering are just ways of comparing one life to another. Only those who have known deep pain can feel true joy. Only those who have wished for death can understand the beauty of life.